folks at home at Two Good Sports listening in. We've got a special treat for you tonight. I'd like to welcome Eric Grothe. Eric played 152 games for Parramatta, 16 games for Leeds, 9 State of Origins, 8 Test match, won 4 premierships. Welcome to the Guru.
Hello, welcome guys. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good mate. Good to have you on.
Yeah,
mate, we've previously discussed your distinguished career. I just want to cut to the chase. Guru, where did that come about and who gave it to you, the nickname?
Look, long story short, when Jack Gibson came to the club, he organised one of our Tuesday night training sessions. Before we would go out and train, we'd have a bit of a meeting and all the 3 grades would sort of jam into this little area. And this particular time, he invited the transcendental meditation fellow to come and talk to us about meditation. And it took about half an hour. And after it, there was only 4 of us that put our hands up to give it a shot. It was me, Dave Lydiard, Peter Wynn, and I forget who the other fellow was. So we decided to do that. For the next couple of weeks, we meditated, and it was probably one of the better things that I'd done. And the Daily Telegraph got hold of it that I was doing some meditation, and they took a photo of me in the middle of a park near Parramatta there, and just with my legs crossed, looking up to the sky. So it was in the papers the next day. And then when I got to training on that day, everyone just said, "Oh, the Guru, is it?" And it just stuck from that.
Mate, that's what you'll be for the rest of your life there. And what I reckon is one of the greatest, most iconic nicknames that's ever been around, Eric, actually.
Sure, yeah.
Mate, you played for arguably the greatest club side in the last 50 years. Greggy's mob, the Dragons, were probably, back in the 60s. But you guys, I don't know, like a lot of punters out there, if that'll ever be surpassed 3 in a row in this day and age with different sort of structures, I guess, to the 80s. But you guys had that magic formula of the great coach. You had that beautiful blend of the young and the old. After a while, you just must have had that much confidence going into important games, semi-finals, grand finals. Just that trust amongst yourselves. It must have been a wonderful time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the players inside me. I mean, if Peter Sterling had a bad day, which was hardly ever. Then Brett Kenny was on. Brett Kenny had a bad day, which was hardly ever. It was Mick Crane or Steve Ella doing some things, and then basically I just had to just back up and just make sure I followed whatever they were doing. And they created opportunities all over the place. And and when you're talking about how it makes you feel, I remember feeling very confident with myself when I knew those sort of players were inside me. And it's just that every big game, as you said, every semi-final or grand final we played, it did. Yeah, the nerves weren't there as much as they would have been maybe in another way.
Yeah.
Eric, mate, during those times, you got blokes who played obviously a lot of State of Origin, a lot for Australia and all that. Was there somebody you would think was the rock of that side, the backbone of that side that may not have been a star?
Well, guys like Paul Taylor. I mean, he just played,
yep.
He played played well above his weight. And he never made the rep sides because of his size. And he could play anywhere. He could play in at lock, second row. I mean, he just wasn't big enough, but his work rate was amazing, and his ability to be able to tackle around the shoelaces was pretty amazing. And because of his size, he didn't make any of the representative teams. And I think he was an unsung hero. He was very special.
What would he have weighed, Eric? Just like he would have been, 70 kilos, bringing him wet?
72, 75 kilos, something like that.
And he played everywhere too, didn't he? He played in the forwards a bit as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Gibbo used him really well off the bench, and he played fullback, and him and Sterlo would change over. Sterlo would go towards the end of the tackle count, would go back, and Paul Taylor would go up in the front line. But just anywhere. In school football, he played half, 5'8", second row, lock, hooker. I mean, he could just play anywhere. And he's
just a real footballer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was very interesting. They did a comparison size-wise, I think, to your early 80s side to the current day Parramatta size. And I think yourself was about the only one lined up from a weight perspective with the current day player size, which was very, interesting. I think Fergie was about the same size as yourself, a little bit taller, obviously.
Yeah, not as handsome, though.
No.
Yeah.
And he hasn't got as good a nickname either.
Fergo, I mean, geez, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But, look, the wingers again are even bigger these days. Most clubs have got tall, big wingers, obviously for the kicking that gets shoved down their throat. They have to sort of make sure that they take the kicks and they blot all that sort of stuff out. But and they're an extra forward. I remember when Eric Junior played first grade, and from my era to his era, it was just such a change. His work rate was 100 times mine. He would do 20 get-ups a game and do the tough runs off the line, where in my day when that wasn't sort of necessary, that sort of thing, but important that the winger came in and did that sort of stuff. So, yeah, they're even bigger dudes these days.
Mate, last week on our show, well, actually, I think it's coming up tonight, but we had stats on last week. Scotty Sattler, and he talked about a couple of young fellas these days may get lost here and there when they're coming into the big bright lights of the city and going to a club. A young guy, you hear a lot about these kids. They're prodigies from 13 or 14. They're signed up by clubs at 13 or 14. He emphasised the importance as a young bloke going to a club and finding a mentor. He said that really got him through. He had obviously his dad, John, would kick him in the bum if he did something wrong. But he said having a strong mentor was, very important to him. How true was that to you? And who did you have there, Eric?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. It's these days, because the way it's structured and stuff. We had the under-23s, reserve grade and first grade that played all on the same day, and the 3 or 4 of the 5 or 6 of the under-23s players would sit on the bench for reserve grade. And when the reserve grade finished, 4 or 5 or 6 reserve grade players sat on the bench, depending on what the coach wanted or whatever. So, you knew who was playing in the 23s, you knew who was playing in reserve grade, and we had guys like, I had Arthur Beach there for a couple of years there, 79, 80, and then Bob O'Reilly. I mean, those guys would sort of straighten you right up. If you're carrying on like a bit of a dickhead, they'd straighten you up straight away. And I looked up to guys like Nick Croner and those sort of guys. And I mean, just a wonderful human. And without him really knowing that he sort of took me under his wing, I looked at him, looked up to him, and whatever he said, and I had that respect. And that sort of pulled my reins in a little bit. And that's what's lacking these days, where they don't have that hard-headed reserve grader as you're coming through, first grader that's going to, slap him around the head if he's playing up.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I heard Peter Tunks say something very similar to Eric. Mate, were you ever close to signing with another club?
Sorry, mate, you're cutting out there. Say again.
Sorry, mate. Were you close to signing with another club during your time there at Parramatta?
Yeah, it was the Bulldogs. Actually, it was after '84, after our 4th grand final. I got courted a little bit by Peter Moore, Bullfrog. He was the manager of the State of Origin team I played in '83, '84, and he asked me if I wanted to come over. He was very serious, and we got a little bit serious there. I mean, I suppose that I didn't want to leave, but he just sort of threw it out there, and it sort of made it a bit of interesting for me to sort of think about that. But and he said, look, give me the last go and have a talk to Dennis Fitzgerald, and then ring me and let me know, and I'll beat whatever they put on the table for you. And I didn't do that. I wanted to stay at Parramatta, and I didn't ring Bullfrog. I just signed on the dotted line for when Fitzy came to me with a contract. And from then when I saw Peter Moore through the year, I remember he came up behind me. I didn't see him coming up. He hit me in the ribs, and he did that quite a bit actually in State of Origin camp. He just sort of hit me under the ribs there and couldn't catch you by surprise, but he really hit me really hard. And I turned around. and he said, "I told you to ring me and tell me," and stuff like that. He was pretty upset about it, but it ended up okay. But yeah, that was the only thing that Bulldogs were keen to have me at one stage. Yeah.
Looking back on that, Eric, what's it mean to you to finish off with a great club like Parramatta? You're a one club man. I know that maybe it might have happened and different things could have happened, but pretty happy with finishing a one club man, I'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. As it turned out, I mean, after 86, it sort of went downhill pretty quickly. 87, 88, a couple of knee injuries and stuff, and then it faded pretty quick. But while it was there, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, it was an amazing time just to be around those sort of players and to learn from those people and learn from humans like Mick Cronin, the Bear, and Jack Gibson was just amazing. John Mooney, the coach, and it was such a, for me, it was such a learning experience, and I learned a lot, and owe the club for what I am today because of them.
And as a young bloke watching you at that time, young teenager watching at that time, you guys were, I guess, the equivalent, I'd imagine, of the Chicago Bulls, in the 90s. It was just, it looked like just that great atmosphere, great, as I said earlier, great coaching, fantastic players, great up-and-coming players, and it looked like it never ended. And you certainly had a wonderful dynasty there.
Yeah, well, because of the success and success just kept coming, fortunately, success breeds success, and it just got better and better as it went. And as I said, it's sort of the last couple of years it went downhill with injuries and stuff like that. But that happens as you get older. But the success was fantastic, and we stuck together, and we get together now once a year. Well, Para Leagues have the normal reunion, and we have a reunion where we go to the Gold Coast every year, just about 18 to 20 of us over whoever played in the 80s in any of the grand finals or whatever, and we go up there and we spend 3 or 4 days up there, so we stick together still. So
that's great.
Well, that probably leads us into you talking about the great times in Paramount Stadium. Did you get to go to you've been to the new stadium? Did you go to the new stadium?
Yeah, the Bank West is just amazing. Last year I went to a number of games, and this year we're hoping to do the same, but obviously things have changed. But yeah, Bank West is another level. It's an amazing place. I mean, there's full tilt. It's 30,000 people, and it sounds like 60,000 people. It's like cauldron, and it's right on top of you. It would have been amazing to play there. And just the facilities and just the way they do things, just state-of-the-art stuff, fantastic.
Yeah, the players walk through the members too, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, they do. It reminds me a little bit of Lang Park, when Lang Park, before it got changed, we had to walk through the bar to get out to the field. But they didn't have any policing or any security guards and stuff like that. And when we went through, and they'd been there since 4 o'clock, some of these guys, the bar was just full. And you just had your manager sort of make a little way so we could get through, and we get hammered. People would be flicking some beers on us and yelling at us and screaming.
Well, Guru, lucky you're up in Queensland, mate, because we're all well mannered here. I'm sure they wouldn't have done anything wrong. Mate, this brings us to a few viewer questions. Few of our fans from Too Good Sports, mate. Obviously, this is from Justin Amos, a Parramatta supporter. He said, "Can you please consider making a comeback?" So he still wants you there, Guru. But he said, in all seriousness, how would you enjoy playing in today's competition?
Yeah, look, like anything, you adapt to the situation, I think. I mean, the way it's hard to sort of put eras on against eras and all that sort of stuff. The game's so different these days, and so professional, and again, you just adapt to the situation. I would have loved to have played in today, the way it's played today, and how it is. It's probably a little bit harder to play these days in regards to what happens off the field. I mean, there's so many eyes watching you and stuff like that. We got away with a lot of things. We weren't crazy silly, but yeah, we'd have to pull our heads in sort of playing in today's game.
Yeah, a follow up to that, mate. Luke Whippy here, as far as this is more COVID related, I suppose, because I know you love your music. He just said he He loves your music, your band. How did you come together?
It started with my two boys, Eric Jr. and Daniel. We got a band together called 3 Day Growth, and we started doing gigs and stuff. That's when Eric was towards the end of his career. And we did that for about 5 years. That was just an amazing time to play music with my two boys. And then they got a band together, and they did their own thing. So then I got together with a few other guys, and it's been like that now for the last 15 years. We've got into it. But the virus has stopped all that at the moment. Anyway.
Mate, hit on a couple of topical things here, Eric. The season's been slated to return at this stage, pending a few, I guess, jumping through hoops on the 28th of May. And I think all Rugby League supporters have got fingers crossed. What's your take on it? How are you approaching this? What's your perspective on the return of 28th, with training on the 4th of May?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit strange for the players, isn't it? I mean, they had a pre-season and they train their guts out, and they to get to this point now where they only played a couple of games, so they were at that point where they had to change their training regime and the way they do things, and now they've sort of had to build up again like another pre-season, and so it's they'll be in a different headspace. So, but in regards to having football on the TV again, yeah, absolutely, it'd be great. Even if there's no crowd, just to see them running around, just get it going. If they can stay safe and keep it safe, and the government is happy with all that, I just can't wait.
Yeah.
Probably the follow-up to that is your thoughts on Peter V'landys and the way he's handled everything.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough initiation for him, I guess, with the virus and stuff. And look, only from what I see on TV, he looks like he knows what he's doing. He's a smart cookie, and he's been in this game in regards to working the way that he works and so forth. So in the business format, in the business sense, I think he looks like he knows what he's doing, and we're in pretty good hands, I think.
Yeah. There's certainly no textbook to look back on, is there, and see what you do in this situation. It's unprecedented.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right.
Yep. Mate, look, it's been in the media all week with a couple of the young lads, and I think you mentioned earlier, like the media spotlight is on these days, and there's no denying it. There's been different people come out. We've had the New South Wales Premier, I think, referred to them as knuckleheads. Phil Gould's stated that it should be a season. We had a poll, actually, I think we've passed 1,000 now, and it was either, do you think, it should be full-on suspensions or, take it easy a bit? And currently the suspensions are leading a bit. Do these young blokes, was it too harsh? Was it a slap on the wrist? What's your take on that, Gould?
Look, again, it's unprecedented times, and pretty much they're young adults, and it's a learning process for everyone in that situation. So I wouldn't be too hard on them. I know they put themselves in a situation where they could pass something on or whatever. But a fine is okay, I think, and just let them play. I think it's unprecedented times, and it's all strange to everybody. So
Yep.
Probably the final question from me, Guru, is talking to lockdown and isolation. Who would be the greatest pest from your days to be locked down with?
Oh, right, okay. That's a good question. They're all good blokes in their own way. I'd say someone like Dave Lydiard. Dave Lydiard is such a good bloke, but he was he was always into training, always 100% into training and stuff like that. He always tried to drag me into being more professional or trying to get me to do extra bits and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd imagine living with David, he'd want to get out and do training and all that sort of stuff. So he'd be a pain for me.
All right, mate. Well, look, Eric, we really appreciate you taking the time out and joining us.
My pleasure.
Greg mentioned earlier, your feats in the field speak for themselves, and you'll go down in a lot of people's opinions, including ours, as the greatest winger who's played this game. But apart from that, you're even better bloke than giving up your time the last couple of years now with us. So we really appreciate that, Eric, and hope the mighty Eels come back, and hopefully they don't give the Broncos another spanking like you gave us last time, mate. 58-0. That was a bit rude. But
yeah,
apart
you've got a bit of the wood on you guys at the moment. Isn't it?
I think you might have, yeah, at the moment. But look, mate, take it easy, and it's great to have you on our show again, Eric. And we look forward to hearing your music and all the other things that are going on in your life a little bit down the track, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the kind words, and thanks for allowing me to get onto your show again. I appreciate it. I love the show. So
cheers, Eric. See
Thanks,
you soon,
Eric.
mate.
Good on
Thanks,
you
mate.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.